Hi, Ron Harrison here from the Unlimited Success Financial Team, and I'm here to talk to you about alternatives to growing money. Now, this could be money to start a business, buy a house, to retire. It really doesn't matter. I mean, money is money, right? It can be used for all sorts of things. And this is really for people in their 20s, 30s, and even 40 somethings out there. And I mean, I'm old in this. I started my first plan when I was 52 years old. So even a little bit older people can do this. But I'm going to talk about indexed FlexCash plans. And most people, when they think about their money has two features to it. It can be safe money on one side, or it could be risky money on the other side, right? That's really how most people look at their money. Well, I'm going to be talking about something that's in the middle that has all the features of safe money plans, but then some of the features of the at-risk plans where you can grow your money when the stock market does well. Great alternative for people. So when we look at this, you're going to get bottom side protection and top side growth. So the first thing I always talk about are taxes. And taxes, we know that Uncle Sam, the government, is going to be reaching into our pocket for more and more of our money. We're in a very low tax environment right now. Government spending, we know it will increase. It doesn't matter if you're Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, it doesn't matter. Government spending is going up. And that's our federal government, our state governments, our local governments, right? Our property taxes are going up. So Uncle Sam needs to pay his bills. Tax rules can change at any time, and we have no control over those tax changes, do we? Also, rates can change at any time. As I said, we're in a historically low tax rate environment, so the rates can go up and up and up, especially 10, 15, 20 years from now. Wouldn't it be smart to pay your taxes now while the rates are low and you know what they are? That's a smart money move, isn't it? And we cannot trust our government or the global economics. Things that are out of our control end up increasing our taxes. Last, I'd much rather pay the tax on my seed, which is small, so pay low taxes on the seed, which is small, rather than high taxes on the crop, which is going to be big. That's crazy, right? So pay low taxes on a smaller amount of money rather than high taxes on a bigger amount of money. That's logical decision with your money. So how diversified are your taxes? So people talk about having diversified money. Your taxes need to be diversified. In fact, rich people don't worry about necessarily how much money they make. Rich people worry about how much taxes they pay. That's what we're going to talk about, is what you can do about that. So when we think about it, there are three buckets of our money. The first is the taxable bucket. So taxable bucket, you can see savings, CDs, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, like if you trade in and out of stocks. What those mean when it's taxable, that simply means that it is taxed as earned, taxed every year. So even though we make just a little bit of money in a savings account at the bank, we get a 1099 every year that we have to pay taxes on that little bit of money we made, don't we? Now, the next area is tax deferred. Now, tax deferred are typically the retirement plans that we have. The thing about tax deferred, when somebody says, well, what does tax deferred means? I say, well, what tax deferred means is that don't pay taxes now, pay taxes later on when your pile of money is bigger and tax rates are bigger. That's what tax deferred is. So why would you want to put something off that's going to cost you more money later on? But most people are stuck in tax deferred with their retirement plans. So next we're going to talk about tax free. And tax free means that Uncle Sam is not going to make you pay your taxes because you pay the taxes up front. Your money's already gone through the tax system. Once it's gone through the tax system, it's free to grow and free to access. And there are three ways to do this. You can do it with Roth plans. Of course, the thing about Roth plans is they're limited by how much you can put in. Also, Roth plans are controlled by the IRS. So who makes the rules on Roth plans? The IRS. I don't want to have the IRS making rules on my money. They already do enough to me. Municipal bonds are a good way to have tax-free money, but with municipal bonds, your money is locked up for 5, 10 years, however long you buy the bond for. Plus, they only pay you like 3 or 4%. Who wants to have their money locked up? And then finally, flex cash plans. And that's what I'm going to be talking about. Flex cash plans are the plans that are in the middle that I talked about when I first started. They have safety on one side, and then they can grow with the stock market on the other side. And we'll talk about that. And these are done through insurance-based products. Insurance-based products are the third leg of the financial step stool if we talk about it. We have banks, we have investment companies, and then we have insurance companies. Those are three companies that work with our finances. That's what we're going to be looking at now. So we think about that, the key features of these index flex cash plans. So if you look at this chart, you'll see the index flex cash plans. The index plans is the blue line. Look at that. Up, sideways, up, sideways, up, sideways. From 2001 to 2003, nobody lost any money in the index plans, but look what happened to the S&P 500 and the Dow, the green and the red lines. People lost money, right? 36, 38, 40%, 50% in some cases. Then, of course, in 2008, people lost half of their money again practically, but people in the index plan stayed level. So the money goes up when the market does well, and it stays level when the market crashes. So look at this. And then finally, if you look all the way up in 2022, the stock market was catching up to index accounts, and then boom, 2022 happened. The stock markets crashed, but look what index plans did. This is pretty amazing. So most of my clients say, you know what? I want to have some of my money in these index plans. So return with market upside, no stock market risk, uninterrupted compounding. I'll talk about that a little bit later. Tax-free growth, tax-free access on these index plans. Asset control. You control the asset. The IRS does not control the asset. Take the money out of these plans at any age for any reason. That's pretty awesome. Penalty-free access, loans to yourself. We'll talk about that in a bit. The money goes tax-free to your beneficiaries. Not like your 401k and 403bs that Uncle Sam gets all of that money. Finally, non-reportable to the IRS. Look at all those advantages of these plans. Pretty incredible, isn't it? So these, I consider these, when we talk about retirement, I consider these 21st century retirement plans. So what I mean by that is that they're not stuck in the 1980s retirement plan. That's when our current retirement system with 401ks, IRAs, 403bs, they were created in about 1982 and 1983. Well, our economy has changed since then. Our needs as individuals has changed, right? Retirement plans have changed this much since that time. That's crazy. Our government does not do us any favors. So you can see in this chart, look at all the risk of the current retirement system. And look at flex cash plans. No risk in any of these areas. That is pretty incredible, isn't it? So what do we talk about, and what are the advantages of these flex cash plans? The flexible access and use, let's think about that. So it's index growth, no stock market risk. Talk about that a little bit already, right? Annual crediting. So every year you get, let's say you get 10% in the stock market. 10% goes into your plan. And it can never, ever be taken out. You never lose principal, and you never lose what has been credited to your account. That's pretty great, isn't it? So you get uninterrupted crediting. You never have a negative crediting year. It's approved in the tax code, but it's outside of the IRS rules and regulations. Tax deferred growth, tax-free access, I've talked about that. Anytime, any use. Supplemental retirement, a legacy for beneficiaries. So much better than the typical plans that people are stuck in. Now, here's some examples of this. Here's an example. I had a person that reached into their plan to do a home remodel. Now, if they'd have gone to the bank to get a HELOC or a second mortgage, they would have had to fill out all the nosy paperwork and everything. All they did, they just went to their phone. They just took their phone and they went boom, boom, boom. And the insurance company sent them a check for $18,000. In 3 days, it showed up in their checking account. No questions asked. And the cool thing, when you borrow money from these plans, you actually still earn interest on that money as if it were still in the plan, which it is. It's pretty incredible. So that's how you can loan money to yourself and leverage interest. Buying a vehicle. I had a client had an opportunity to buy an older vehicle. It was $10,000. He didn't have $10,000 cash, but he went into his plan again, just picked up this phone, went to the insurance company smart app, said, send me $10,000. 3 days later, $10,000 showed up. He paid that to the person for the vehicle, and then he has the vehicle. Didn't have to go get a loan or any of that stuff. Flipping cars or houses. I have a person that he likes to fix up cars and paint cars and things like that. So he'll use his FlexCash plan to buy a car, fix it up, paint it, do those sorts of things, flip it for more money, profit, right? Pays himself back on the money he borrowed, and now he has more money to buy the next vehicle. So he just flips and sells, and he's doing all this with his own money. He doesn't have to go borrow money from anybody else. Same with flipping houses. The person I was working with, she was paying 18% for a hard money lender to flip a house. She just borrows from herself now. It's pretty incredible. Starting a business. You build up money in this, go in and take money to start your own business. Lots and lots of options on these things. So let's see the potential of this. And I'm going to talk about a very simple plan. Now, this is logical. And I guarantee if you start treating your money logical as opposed to emotional, you will win the money game. And we all want to win the money game, right? So let's think about this. 15, 30, and 60-minute retirement plans. So think of this. When we work for an hour, if you're making hourly wage, and even if you make a salary, you can figure that out per hour, right? But let's just say you make $20 an hour. Well, in that first 15 minutes, you've earned $5, haven't you? 30 minutes, you've earned $10. That whole hour for that day, the first hour you work of the day, 60-minute plan, that's going to be $20 you've earned, right? So think about this. Again, logical. If you earn $20 an hour, most people make more than that, for your first 15 minutes of the day. So you go in from 8 o'clock in the morning, and from 8 to 8:15, you're earning $5 a day. Well, for the month, that's $150 a month. Now, people say $150 a month, I can't afford that. Well, that's emotional thinking. Get back to the logic. Can you imagine taking 15 minutes, the first 15 minutes of your workday, and paying your future self? That's a smart money move, isn't it? So that's what you want to look at, is how can you do this based on logic of money? So now let's look to see what these types of things would do. So what I did here, I just looked at a 30-year-old, and these numbers would be different for a 25-year-old or a 35-year-old, but here just gives you some ideas. So let's say a 30-year-old making $20 an hour decided to do a $5 a day plan. Well, look at that. At age 40, they'd have $10,000. Not a lot, but it's more than they have right now, right? But if they did a $10 a day plan, look at that. 3 times, almost 4 times the money, even though they've only doubled the money. That's the power of compound interest. And imagine if they did the $20 a day, 9 times the 10,000. That's the power of compound interest. They've only put in 4 times the money, but they've grown 9 times the money in growth. Power of compound interest. At age 50, look at that, $250,000. Can you believe it? At age 60, start thinking about retirement, $500,000 at retirement. Then finally, at age 66, nearly $1 million compared to 100,000 if they only did $5 a day. Now, I just put these numbers out there. You can do whatever you want to, obviously, for yourself. But the cool thing about these plans, what most people do is they start the plan, for this first year, I'm going to do the $5 a day. Then when you revisit it a year later, maybe they've gotten a raise or things are different in their life. You say, I'm going to kick this up to $10 a day. So that's thinking smart with your money, thinking logical with your money, and putting a plan into place to pay yourself first. That's exactly what this does. You make that first 15, 30, or 60-minute part of your workday, you make that your money paying yourself first. Now, the next step for you, here's the QR code or the web address. Go and fill out this form. It'll take you about 3 or 4 minutes, less than that. Fill out the form, and I'll send you some information based on your exact ideas of what you might want to do for right now. No harm done. I'll send you a video of me, just like this video, talking about what this money will do for you. Then you can get back to me and we can talk about more specifics and see what this could work for you. So, last thing to talk about is that people do these if they have no retirement plan at all through work. They do these on their own. Small business owners, people just entering the workplace, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. People that work under the table, it doesn't matter. I also have people that do these as a supplemental to their work-based retirement. I'll sit down with somebody, I'll say, what are you putting into your 401k? And they say, well, I'm putting in about 12%. I say, how much does the company match? They match 6%. So that extra 6% you're putting in, you're getting no advantage, are you? No match. So I just have them take that 6%, put it into this plan. No money out of their pocket. That's pretty amazing, isn't it? So there are lots of strategies around how this can work. So fill out this form. That'll at least get the conversation started, and then we can set up a customized plan for you. So take care, and I hope that you start thinking logically about your money, because I guarantee you think logically about your money, you will win the money game, and we all want to win the money game, don't we? So take care, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Bye.